Hi, sorry. It just, let's punch the chat. What's up, everyone? Sorry, it's just one of those days when everything seems to be going wrong for me. Thank you. What's everyone up to? We've been out of action since a couple of weeks. Hi, what's up, Vike? And we're finally back and very excited for this chat now. And we're just going to wait for Mimi to join. Let's see if she's online. Give me. Hi, Rupanti. I know we've also been just been all over the place. December season, work resumed at the studio. So just been a little caught up with all of that. But now we're back and we have a very interesting chat today. And I'm just waiting for Mimi to come online. And I hope everyone is going to stay tuned in. Dilip, hi. Preeti, hey Mimi. There she is. Just gonna have to add her in. Back to. Thank you, Rupanti. Just going to add Mimi. Hi, Madhuri. Nice to see you. It's good to see Hey, Ajay. Thanks for all the comments on the page. Hi, Mimi.
Hi, Ansh. How are you?
I'm so happy to see so many of my friends and family on chat today. We've been doing this
Oh,
after.
nice.
It's just one of those days when everything is going wrong for me and I've utter chaos. So I'm really happy to have this peace half
Yeah,
an hour with you.
even my broadband has just decided to give me trouble today, so I've gone on to my mobile data.
Okay, lovely. Okay, maybe let's dive right in because we've already gone 5 minutes late.
Yeah.
Mimi Rao needs no introduction on Decoding Life with Anchal. She's been here before a bunch of times, and she's also a very dear friend of mine, and she has this immense knowledge to share. And like I always say, that a large reason of me running away to London periodically to get that complete solo time with me and have all this uh, incredible conversation with her. So, Mimi, our topic for today is all about death. Very fascinated. I got tons of messages, replies from everyone saying very interesting I have to say today. So what do you mean when you say, what are you going to talk about today? Let's get.
Yeah, I think you know what, Ansh, and I hope you can hear me. I'm
I
also
can,
walking to go and get my headphones so that the sound might be better.
no,
But can you
no
hear
worries
me?
talking to us till then.
Sorry?
I said you can keep talking to us till then, no worries.
Yes. I'm just getting hold of my headphones. Sorry guys, it's been one of these um crazy sort
So
of days for me. But
and
that's
ask
okay. I think we'll just manage without, because I don't know
okay,
where I've gone and
okay,
put my
okay,
stuff. So
okay.
as long as you can hear me clearly.
I can,
Okay,
I
that's
can.
great. So I thought this was a good topic to talk about, because the whole of 2020 has been one that where people have
Yeah,
sat in fear, and death has been
correct,
on people's minds. So I thought it is a good
correct.
good topic to talk about, to demystify it a little bit. Now, no way am I
Right,
taking away from the seriousness of
sure.
or the finality of death, but I think there's a very important need to understand what it actually means. So, one of the things that we said today was going to be about was that death is a process, and it's
The
not
part
such
of
a
the,
final event,
yeah,
you know. So, a
yeah,
lot of people ask me what I mean when I say death is a process. So,
right,
if you say, look at it this minute,
yeah,
death can be. So, at this minute, you are as much, if I say you're living, I can also say you're dying
right.
at this minute. You are
Okay.
as much dying as you are living from the moment you are
Profound,
born.
please explain.
So, have we looked at our mortality from that perspective? That's one of the things I was saying. The other thing is, before you understand death, you need to know
Yeah,
what dies. And to understand what dies, you need to know what lives
right,
first.
right,
Right? So, what is alive before
right.
you can understand what is it that death is about? So,
Right.
first one needs to understand, we've talked about this earlier in our discussion,
We
the
have.
4 states in which a human being lives. So you
Yes.
live in the waking state, the dreaming state, the deep sleep state, and then the fourth, the witness state, which is you, the Turiya, which witnesses your 3 states. I'm
Right.
not going to delve into this in detail. I've talked about it before. But I
Right.
just want to touch upon it for one reason, that we completely identify only with the waking state.
Right.
We identify with this mind and body, and we think this is the only thing that's us. And
Right.
because of that, we end up, feeling as if death is final because this body is lost.
Correct.
This one thing that we have identified for our entire life with is
Right.
no longer available, and therefore you think death is final. Now,
Right.
a lot of you must have heard, it's always been said, oh, it's like shedding a garment, and it is, death is just shedding the garment of the body, etc., which sounds like a platitude. Because what does it actually mean? Because we all feel the hurt, we feel the pain, we feel the loss of death, right? It's not as if we don't feel it.
Right.
But it is, as I said, important to understand what lives before you can understand what dies. And
Right.
then you will see why it is not so final in any form or shape.
Right.
So first, what is the human being made of? You think you are this body and maybe this mind.
Yeah.
In our Shastras, in ancient wisdom across different religions, if you want to call it that, but I call them spiritual paths, and they all have this knowledge.
Yeah.
But because I come from a very Vedic Hindu background, I
Yeah.
talk about it in terms of the Shastras and our ancient wisdom.
Right. Right.
Okay, but it is across all spiritual paths.
Right.
So we are actually made up of 5 layers.
Right.
And these are called koshas. So first,
Okay.
let's understand what these 5 layers are. The
Okay.
first layer is the outermost layer, which is the body, which is the Annamaya Kosh.
Okay.
Now, as the word suggests, it is Anna, which is what you take from the planet. The food you have gathered all your life keeps forming this body. It's probably worth saying here, don't you think it's miraculous that you could eat a potato or a brinjal and it becomes muscle and blood and fat
Correct.
in your body?
Correct.
Isn't that a miracle in itself? Something to consider. The next thing, which is the mind, is also considered a very physical thing in the mind, and the thoughts are also part of your physical body. So this
Okay.
is still the Manamaya Kosh. Then
Yeah.
you have the
Yeah.
Pranamaya Kosh, which is your life energies.
Okay.
Up to these
Okay.
3 koshas, you are still very much in the physical zone. Then you have
Okay.
the Vijnana, which is the transient.
Knowledge.
It is neither physical nor fully
Okay.
non-physical. It's the transient layer.
Okay.
And finally, you have the Anandamaya Kosh, which is your layer of bliss, of happiness, of who
Right.
you truly are. Satchitananda, people call it soul. I must digress for
Right.
a minute here on this subject of soul, where we all think we have this individual soul, but it's actually not the right perception of who you are. And the best example I can give you is
Okay.
that of, suppose you blow a balloon. Okay, you blow up a balloon,
Yeah.
and it traps some air inside it. The air is encased.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's still
Yeah.
air. You may think it's the balloon's air,
Yeah.
but actually it is still air. And the minute you burst that balloon, the air becomes air. It is part of the overall air.
Yeah.
It's not your air.
Correct.
So this bliss, this universal force,
Correct.
this life energy which is in you is just part of that whole. And you're temporarily encasing it in these layers that we just talked about.
Very
And that
beautifully.
is because,
Right.
and what is the cement? What is holding this whole thing together?
Is your body.
It's the cement
Is
is
your
your,
physical.
or the glue is your karmic energy. Your karmic energy
Okay.
is the cement to these layers that you hold. So when you say
Okay.
death, what happens and why do we call it a process? You must continue to first look at life. So let's look at how
Okay.
life comes into the body. What is life? How does it
Yeah.
come into the body? So at the very basic stage, you know, you have the male and female gamete, which, or cells which unite, and something like a meatball or something physical is formed. This transference is
Yeah.
of your genetic material, you know, your genes,
Yeah.
your physical attributes, if you like. This is that transference.
Yeah.
But there is obviously the non-physical attributes of the person. See, from the moment of birth, even twins have separate personalities. Even if
Yeah.
identical twins have very separate personalities. So
Yeah.
there is the non-physical material, almost like a software that drives something that needs to come into your body. So when does this happen? It happens somewhere between 40 and 48 days of conception.
Okay.
That is when
Okay.
the life form starts entering the body. And the
Okay.
entanglement for the entire life form to be actually become a person is only after 90 days. So what comes in
Okay.
at this 40 to 48 days period, it's called the Sanchita. So
Okay.
Sanchita is like all your karmic energies come into the body.
Okay.
And it's huge. I mean, as a database, you wouldn't be able to classify it in terabytes. And the reason for that is that at all given times in your life, your sensory perceptions are absorbing information. So
Right.
information that you're not even conscious of is being absorbed.
Right.
So if
Right.
you take a walk in a garden, you may see, I don't know, 25 objects or 50 objects. But actually, every single thing, like a series of photographs, zillions of objects, smells, materials, everything is imprinted like a photograph in your karmic memory. So
Okay.
every moment of it, so you can imagine how much information is actually captured.
Right.
You know, it's like a film. So it's not just what you're conscious of.
Right.
So all that is in your Sanchita. And that comes into the body somewhere between 40 and 48 days.
Right.
Then at that point, after that, you get something called the Prarabdha.
Okay.
So the Prarabdha is the apportioned karma.
Okay.
That means the section which is going to play out in your this lifetime. That
Okay.
apportioning of karma happens.
Okay.
And why do we say that on the 90th, from 90 days on, only life is fully entangled? Is because till this point, this life form, which is being reborn, is seeing if the match between the genetic materials, the body that's forming, and this prarabdha, the karma that it has to play out, is a proper match or not. And
Okay.
therefore, pregnancy is very often, it's considered very fragile in the first 90 days because the life may find that the womb conditions are not right and it can
Oh,
leave.
wow.
And so you have a stillborn or an abortion or whatever, you know, that happens.
How beautifully and scientifically explained.
Thank
Right.
you. It's the ancient wisdom. I'm only
Yes.
sharing
No,
what little
it's,
I know.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
after 90 days, the life is fully established in the body. So
Okay.
you can, and then from then on, it's a person.
Correct.
And ideally, don't disturb that life after that.
Okay.
So if you see that the process of life forming itself is a process, it's
Yeah. So
not
then even
instant coffee.
it becomes a process.
Yeah. So why do you think death will be instant coffee? When you have
Correct.
come over 90 days, why will
Correct.
you vanish in a second? Because life is not, you know, like a modern human being. Everything is quick. Everything is fast food. Everything is instant gratification. That's not the timetable of the universe. It works
Your
at a different timetable.
a process like life, which is over a period of time. This is so fascinating because for all of us, death is that moment when you stop breathing. A lot of people
Yeah.
believe that's when you actually pass. A lot of spiritual people believe that your soul leaves the body either sooner or later, and that's when you've passed. Now you're giving us another layer, making it more interesting by saying that it's a process over a period of how much time?
Yeah, it's a complete process. And that's why you will notice that, you know, at least, and all cultures, again, all spiritual paths have it, but in our school of thought, in the Hindu school of thought, you have 14 days of ceremonies that we do, and people say the
Right.
person is gone, it's a dead body. But there
Right.
is a lot of science behind what is done in those 14 days and why it's
Right.
done. So now
Right.
let's look at how life exits the body. Now let's look
Okay.
at that.
Okay.
So when you look at how life exits the body, you have layers of life forces
Okay.
that exit the body. The
Okay.
first layer of life force that exits the body is called the prana vayu, or the
Okay.
breath. The
Okay.
prana, or the breath,
That
and
leads.
that is connected to your respiratory function, your pulmonary and respiratory functions. So
Okay.
your breathing stops.
Okay.
That's the first level of death. At this
Okay.
stage, even medical science doesn't declare you dead. They try to
Okay.
revive you, and
Okay.
they say the brain, the brain is not dead yet.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first we say the pranavayu goes first. This happens almost the instant that the exit journey has begun.
Right.
The
Right.
next layer of life force that goes from you, it is called the samana vayu. The samana
Saman.
vayu is what
Vayu.
maintains the samana.
Saman. Okay.
So samana is like, it means even,
Okay.
if you think
Understood.
about it. So the
Understood.
samana vayu maintains your body temperature.
Okay.
So it keeps your body temperature constant. So when the samana vayu exists, the body goes cold.
Okay.
So usually this happens in the next 10-15 minutes of death. You find that the body starts going cold.
Okay.
At this point, the samana vayu has exited.
Okay.
The next layer of thing that exits is the apana vayu. So
Apana.
the apana vayu is to do with your sensation.
Okay.
So very often you'll find that even after a person is brain dead, people get scared sometimes. You might find a twitching. You might find that the body may marginally just move even after being declared brain dead.
Yeah.
This is because the samana vayu has not yet exited.
Okay.
So
Okay.
your sensations remain.
Okay. Okay.
So that is the next. These three tend to go in quick sequence.
I was going to ask you that when you say it's over a period of time, but we usually see this process happening at one
These
time.
three are quite instant. They go
Got it.
fairly
Got it.
one after the other. The body
Okay.
goes cold, and then the
Yeah.
sensations
And then your sensation. Yeah.
and everything are lost. The next one is quite an interesting one because it is the udana vayu. So
Okay.
udan, as the word suggests, flight.
Flight. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So udana vayu is your buoyancy in the body.
Okay.
So, let's say, Anchal, you weigh 60 kg. I'm guessing
Yeah.
maybe you're much lighter, but I'm just saying, let's say,
Okay.
a person weighs 60 kg.
Yeah.
When you get up and walk around in the world, you will not feel that 60 kg of your body weight.
Right.
You don't feel it. But
Right.
try lifting dumbbells for 60 kilos or try lifting a sack of 60 kilos and see the weight. You won't be able to budge it, leave alone
Correct.
get up and walk on two legs.
Correct.
So there is a buoyant force in your body which counteracts the gravitational forces.
Okay.
So because weight comes from the gravity pulling you down, right? So this udana vayu actually counteracts the body's buoyancy.
Okay.
And that exits next. And you become, they say dead weight.
Right.
We say that, right? Where does the term come from? Why is it a dead weight? If you ask a ward boy or somebody working in a hospital, he'll tell you that carrying a live person and carrying the body of that person is very different. It's very heavy when you carry the body.
Right.
So that is the udana vayu has now exited.
Okay.
So until the udana vayu exists, there are tantric processes where they try to revive the body. It's possible.
Okay. Okay.
So they up to then. But once udana vayu is gone, it's
impossible.
Chapter is closed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the last, the last life force that is the Vijnana. The Vyana. The Vyana Vayu. So the Vyana Vayu is basically the preservative life force.
Okay.
And this is the one, after this exits, you'll find that the body's decay will begin. It starts decaying the body, the rotting process sets in.
Okay.
And this, can take, as you know, the decay doesn't start for a long time. So these other Vayus, so up to the first three, they go very quickly. One after the other, you go cold, the breath goes. then you have, but this decay process is actually
Is a
dependent also. It can take days, up to 14 days. You may
correct.
still have that in you.
Correct.
Also, it depends on the vibrancy of the life that has left.
Oh,
That
is it?
this, yeah. So this is where, it depends on how you died, when you died. All this impacts
Okay.
when so if a very feeble life exists, let's say a person has lived out, and that software, the prarabdha that comes into the body, if you have exhausted it, somebody who's 90 years old or 100 years, feeble life force, whatever
Yeah.
is there, it's not necessarily age related. It depends on
Right.
how much karma you're living out in this life. So if you
Right.
have exhausted it and then you have exited, it's a very quick.
Right.
But whereas if there is a vibrant life form, see, one is of course accidental death, murder,
Yeah.
those sort of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
We'll talk a little bit about what happens there. But
Yeah.
specifically, if you talk about a life force where today's modern lifestyle, we don't actually live out our lifespan as much as we are programmed to live out.
Right.
We also break the body with disease, which
Correct.
are lifestyle induced.
Correct. Correct. Correct.
Diabetes, heart failure, all these sort of things
The
that
body
we
is
do.
designed to go on much longer than what it is going on in
Yeah,
today's, basically
exactly.
what man's term.
So
Yes.
when your software has not played out,
Yeah.
when the life form is still vibrant, then
Yeah.
all the more these different vayus to exit will take time.
Time
Now you
long.
notice one thing, that whenever a person dies, I think this is in all Indian traditions, but certainly in other countries, I'm sure. I don't know enough about some of the other cultures, but in all Indian traditions, the first thing they do is they tie the two big toes of the body together.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
They tie it up, and the reason they do that is because this, all your life you have identified with this mind body. So as soon as you exit, for some time you don't almost understand why you don't have a body, because
Right.
only the body is lost in death. This is the point I want to make.
Right.
Everything else is going with you. Even your mind, your karmic memory is going with you, but not your discerning mind. Your logical discerning mind is not going with you. That is staying back with the body. So this also leads to another situation which I'll talk about in a minute. So why those big toes are tied up is because for some time the life force is trying to re-enter the body.
Okay.
So
really?
it prevents, and it tries to come in through the Mooladhara, which is at the your base. And because of that life force is, to prevent that trying to re-enter, they tie up the toes. It's quite an interesting concept on its own. But the main thing to understand is that only this body is shed. Nothing else is shed. And also when you have deaths, I just said, that your discerning mind is lost, right?
Yeah.
It's your logical brain is set aside, because that logical brain is a programmed brain.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your karmic memory, of course, the force goes with you. So what happens if you suddenly end your life? Let's say suicide. Let's take an example of suicide. If you suddenly end your life, what happens is, see this casing, this body that we have cemented by the karmic forces. This is what we have, time and space only in this dimension.
Okay.
So even, when that when you space travel, scientifically, there's a stretching of time, right? So 60 Earth years can become whatever. So somebody comes back after 1,000 years. You see these science fiction films, but they're based on the fact that there is an elongation of time and space.
Right.
So when you lose this body, you don't have the same time and space, because this is inflicted by the discerning mind.
Right.
When the discerning mind is lost, that karma, which you would have played out in the 60 years you had left to live, can become 600 years.
Okay.
Where you're floating around to play out that software, that prarabdha.
That is why also they say that when people die a sudden death and when there is a suicide or whatever, that usually the soul doesn't pass, that travels.
You have to do a lot of process.
This is the explanation.
Exactly. So it is left in unease. you know,
Okay.
to play out that time. So it's better to
Right.
have 60 Earth years than to float around for whatever 600 or 6,000 years.
Correct.
So if you think you're ending your problems, you're actually creating bigger ones for yourself.
Correct.
You know,
Understood.
so that's
Understood.
something to bear in mind.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I think, you know,
Sorry, I'm going to cut you off. Is there also some kind of a karmic payoff when you break the process of a natural death and your life, which you were actually not meant to do at the time you're meant to do? Is there some kind of a karmic payoff for the soul? I don't know if this comes in the purview of your knowledge, but I know it's more like a spiritual question. But
no, so
when
the karmic payoff is that you are
the,
living out your karma in that time. The other
right,
thing to bear in mind is that when the discerning mind is gone,
yeah,
even a drop of happiness can become a lot of happiness. Even a
okay,
drop of sorrow can
can be
become
very,
expansive. See, everything expands. So,
very
in
interesting.
that final moment,
Yeah,
if you have gone in such sorrow,
yeah,
that expands. And that is all hell is. See, the universe is only intelligence, mathematics, action, consequence.
yeah.
There is
It
no
doesn't
judgment.
long and the
There is
yes and
nobody else outside.
correct,
There's nothing
correct,
sitting and judging you
correct,
of good or bad or evil. It's nothing. There is a
correct.
consequence to everything. It's a
That is why
mathematics.
that is also why they say na when you're like it's said even in the secret that the universe does not understand yes or no. So don't say I don't want this. The minute you say this, that means you will get this, whether you say I don't or I do, because the universe does not understand that. So I think it's the same principle that you are trying to explain as well.
Yeah, it is just, you know, you're
Very
creating. That
interesting.
is why your thoughts, you know, today, if you really want something, we are digressing from the death topic, but you brought up
Yeah, yeah,
manifestation and
yeah,
attraction.
yeah.
It is aligning that intent,
Correct,
aligning your actions, aligning your thoughts, and giving it the power. But today, your
correct,
mind is a complete monkey. It's jumping
correct,
every second to a new thought. So you're not
correct.
able to manifest. It's
Right,
as simple as that. But I think
right.
those are very, see, this law of attraction, law of manifestation has become very popular these days. But you know,
Yeah.
it does not work independent of all the laws of Prakriti. This is what people have to understand. You know, you can't just say that law of attraction, I'm going to manifest this,
Going to come to me and I'm going to
working
get.
against all the other karmic laws and laws of Prakriti and all of that. So everything has to align before you can manifest. But that's
Oh.
a whole other subject which we can which we can take up on
I
another date.
also hear Mimi for a second because we have a question. Deepika is asking, what about when a person commits suicide? Deepika, Mimi just explained this. So if you've missed the chat, then maybe you should kind of watch the IGTV video after, because that's exactly what she explained, that it's an unnatural process. Your body is not meant to leave at the time. Whole process that happens when you commit suicide. And incidentally, to all our viewers, if you have questions for Mimi, please feel free to post it right now, because we were anyway 30 minutes up. And once she and I start talking, there is no end to how much from where to manifestation to death to life, where all we can go. And can you please tell some relationship between soul and gravitation? I think that's a completely different subject for another time, but let's stick to the to death
I
right
can
now as a
just
subject.
briefly talk about it if you like.
Okay.
So
Okay, sure, please.
so I think the one thing I mentioned already, that soul as an what is the soul? What is the individualization? It's that Anandamaya layer inside you. It has
Yeah.
been encased by these other layers we talk about, but it is not
Okay.
to that extent individualized. As soon as you break the layers,
Yeah.
it returns to the ocean of bliss, to the universal consciousness, that a small part of it is encased in your, that is what you call the soul. You know, I'm very
Correct.
hesitant to use even the word soul, because there's so many connotations people have to it, which are all untrue. And it has
Correct.
absolutely nothing to do with gravitation, because gravitation is a very physical phenomena. It is only in this dimension. But I did mention that we have a life force, which is the
Hmm.
Udana Vayu, which is
Yeah.
a buoyancy inside you that physically keeps you. But the soul and gravity, the soul rising, or rather your Anandamay Kosh rising into the universal consciousness, is a journey that is not impacted by the physical, it is impacted by your karmas.
Right.
So
So
the
now we have a
gravitation has no
question.
impact on it.
Yeah, Mimi, sorry to cut you off. Is there a way we can know when our life is going to end with natural death signs so that given a chance we can do some good deeds and safeguard our loved one? Yours, DJ VJ. Our advice is please do good as much as you can, even through the process of life. Do not wait for signs of death to start doing good. Please be
So
a good human being. Help.
I want to say that life is a sign of death, because
Okay.
from the minute you are born, you are dying. In fact, in yoga, they say that when you breathe in, you live.
Yeah.
Every time
Yeah.
you breathe out, you die.
Yeah.
And if you are
Right.
not any moment, this moment, when you breathe out, if you're not able
Right.
to breathe back in, that's it.
Right.
That's death. So death is
Right.
our friend sitting on our shoulder from the minute of birth. So
Correct.
there's
Correct.
really no need to wait for signs to spiritually grow,
Yeah. Yeah.
and be a good human being. You are dying.
Yeah,
This
you
is what
have to
we
be a good
started with.
human
You're dying
being.
as
You have to
much
do
as
as
you're
much
living.
good as you can. You have to look out for your loved ones, even otherwise. Please don't wait for signs of death to do that. You don't want to regret that you didn't live a life well. If there are any more questions, we can take it. If not, I think maybe we should wrap the chat.
Sure.
Any questions from our guests? Mimi, is there
I just
anything
want
last?
to finish off with one last thing
Please.
on that,
Yeah.
Anj,
Yeah.
that if, although we say that we are dying all the time and all of that, in that moment of death, in that exact moment of death, it is believed. So the way Hindus put it is that the Dwar of Vaikuntha open for everybody once. So what does that mean actually? There is no Dwar and
Right.
there's no separate Vaikuntha. It just
Right.
means that there is a moment when there is an opportunity for
For you.
your Anandamay Kosh to go into the universal bliss.
Correct.
And we had just said that when the discerning mind is gone, that moment expands. So
Yeah.
your final state of being, if you can make it one of bliss, if you can stay focused instead of being fearful when your life is leaving the body, you can go into the light.
And they also say that that's why there are certain days in the year where the universe is open, they say, in so many ways, which are very, very holy and spiritual days, that if people pass during those days, they go straight to heaven. That's what they say. That's the same
Yeah,
meaning, right?
it's easier that the forces are working with you. Even places, people go to Kashi to die.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
Kashi is one of those places which
Yes.
has the energies that can boomerang you a little more easily into
Correct.
that. But
Correct.
nothing overrides the life you have lived and your karmic forces. So the best
Correct.
thing you can do for anything is to be conscious of your thought, word, and deed, because all of it is accumulating to go with you. You
Correct.
cannot take your Mercedes or your mansion, but this is
Huh.
going with you whether you like it or not.
Right,
So
right.
be careful what you accumulate.
Yeah, and I think it's been a very obviously it's been a very life altering year for all of us in many ways, spiritually and in every which way. And I think we've learned that more than anything else, to value the real meanings of life, which has nothing to do with, you can have all the money in the world, and if you're sitting in your houses, there's nothing you can do about it. There's no way you can spend it. There's no way you can enjoy it. So I think the lessons we've all learned is be a good human being, have a good family life, be simple, eat simple, live simple. So, on that note, Mimi, I want to say thank you very much. You're always so spontaneous and so kind as to come onto my chat programs
My
and share.
pleasure. Thank you for having me.
I feel that, there's so much knowledge that you have to share, and that, it's just never enough chatting with you.
We'll chat
I
again in the new year.
Yeah, we will. We have to do. We'll keep doing one every week. And to all our viewers, thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you very much for all the support that you've given to this page in this past 6 months since we've started. Barely in, I think, August, September is when we began. And I hope you guys have a very, very safe New Year. I hope you have a beautiful New Year's with your friends and family and your loved ones. And I hope 2021 is an amazing time for everyone, both personally, professionally, financially, in every which way. And I will see you. And I think our first chat in the New Year's is actually going to be on what the new year brings in for everyone in their lives. Which means that if you have questions about your personal life, it's either going to be tarot or astrology. I'm not sure. So we'll do like a fun reading for everyone in the first week of Jan. So guys, please tune in. Please share our page with everyone. Thank you so much, Mimi. Thank you to all our viewers.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. And thanks
Thank
everyone for watching and listening to whatever little bit I know. And we'll catch up soon.
See you soon. Bye.